Okay, I am now recording, so I have to clean up my act. Happy our Monday, your Tuesday. yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Adventures of Liz and Rebecca.
I was really awake on the drive in here, and I was really surprised because, you know, we aren't working hard in the shop on the weekends, so I kind of rest, but I'm also usually knitting like a fiend and crocheting like, and well, I won't bore you with all the stuff I have to do when I'm not in the shop, but and then I got in here and started doing things while Liz was arriving. Now I'm crashing a little, but that's why we're filming, because then I get energy talking to you all. I'm Rebecca. I am the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in glorious downtown Brevard, North Carolina.
And the sun's out today. I'm Liz. It was on my driveway.
I'm like, I don't see the sun. I'm sorry, I ruined your interruption.
I'm Liz. Proceed. I'm the minion at Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina.
I just went, what is she seeing that I'm not seeing? Okay, so the sun was out on her drive-in from Etowah.
Yeah.
My drive-in from Conisty, I hit dense fog. So, and the old wives'
arrived early, arrived late.
Well, okay, so the old wives' tale for this area, I don't know if it is for yours, is the foggy days. You count the foggy days in August, and it really feels like March 10th instead of August, but you count the foggy days in August, and that is supposed to predict how much snow you will have in the winter. Although I was thinking about this on my way in today to kind of squirrel to something non-knitting. I feel like there were a lot of foggy days last August, and we did not have a crazy ass winter. Excuse my language.
No, we got bits and little flurries here and there, which may or may not have added up to the foggy days, but
the conditions might have gone just a little bit. Yeah. So, but since we're supposed to have a really bad hurricane season, she's like,
winter is coming. Sorry.
We also, bad hurricane season can be a predictor of bad winter. So, you know, basically 2020 is crazy. So expect the worst.
There were huge winds going through the Midwest yesterday.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, my friends got hit by it.
Yeah. It not
shout
really.
Out to Keisha. I have no idea if she watches this. She's my sister's friend, but I've experienced I call it a derecho. It was being called a derecho on the news this morning, or whatever, you know, straight wind hurricane, tornado.
Yeah.
Thunder. It's our Monday.
It's not a tornado per se. It's just
tornado force winds.
An entire line of thunderstorms that trounce everything.
I've experienced one. It sucks. And yeah. My sister, from what I heard, didn't have crazy damage, but her friend did, or her friend at least lost power. So, I mean, you know the phrase, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I am just in prepare for the worst mode right now.
Well, I found it funny over the weekend. We all kind of woke up with an earthquake on Sunday. There was a 5.1. It was a few hours drive north of us. It might be more than a few hours drive because you've got to drive through the mountains. But it's
can't get there from here.
Not very, as the crow flies, not very far away.
Who picked a crow? Anyway, go. Sorry.
Well, I don't. Anyway, we all woke up to either rattling in the house, the bed shaking, or someone texting us that the bed was shaking and why is my house moving?
I'd been awake for 2 hours, but yes, I got a text.
Never felt an earthquake. Out of all the earthquakes I've been in, which has only been like 2 or 3, I've never felt them.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody around me has. So anyway, but right after that, like a couple hours later, the National Weather Service went. It was the National Weather Service or USGS. One of the two went, so it's time to start preparedness for hurricanes. Like now that you've been through an earthquake, you should really consider being prepared for
everything else.
And it's like, yeah. Yarn is great preparedness.
Yes. If you get stuck in your house or don't have electricity, you could still knit.
Yeah.
Get it now. We used to, when hurricane season was heading our way or snowstorms, it was like stock up. Now it's just stock up for life in general. No, I didn't feel I was about to say hurricane. I'm so off track now. I didn't feel the earthquake. Brian did in Cashers. Neighbors of mine did. But my theory is that they were higher up because, mountains around here that are, you can be within a mile of each other and be at totally different elevations. I think the higher mountains, it's almost like giant natural buildings. The higher up you are, the more you might feel the sway, and down lower, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah. But Bernie said stuff in the kitchen rattled, although he waited until
he didn't realize that the rattling was a rattling until after. Right?
Yeah. I went out because our neighbor has horses and she was out taking care of the horses. And I asked, are the horses wiggy? And she said, no, why? And I said, there was an earthquake. And she goes, I wondered why my bed was shaking. Then I went back in and Bernie went, oh, well, everything in the kitchen was shaky. And I'm like, yeah, there was an earthquake.
And if there hadn't been an earthquake, it would have just been like, that was funny.
Yeah.
We have a ghost.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. I have family who are like, did you have any damage? What's going on? And geographically, again, when you don't know the geography, you hear Western North Carolina and go, oh my gosh, it must have hit you. The epicenter was at the North Carolina and Virginia borders, which are way up here. And we are my house I can almost spit on South Carolina. I'm about 10 minutes from the South Carolina border. So we're down here. It's one of the skinnier parts of the state, but I'm also dealing with family. Shout out to Uncle Rob. I love you. Who are from New England, where the states are teeny tiny. So an earthquake at the border of Connecticut and Massachusetts, you'd probably feel on the shore.
Well, they're so close. For us, going to Sparta would be a 2 or 3 hour drive ish.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3 hour drive up there is you cross the whole state.
You've crossed
another one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they did feel I love this, looking at the shake map. They felt it from Maine and into Canada all the way down to the Florida Keys. There was a report in the Florida
reports
Keys.
all over the place of feeling something.
And then all the way out to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. It was a bigger shake, felt it map than it was for the 5.1 in Maryland when I looked at that. And
it's geography is interesting, and tectonics and all that stuff. And we've deviated from yarn long enough. Oh, I love it. But we should get back. We made promises when we started this that we were going to try to stick to yarn. And that lasted 50 episodes. No, we've deviated. We scrolled before. Yeah. So I had all these plans on Saturday. I was like, I don't have any lessons today and we don't have the knit along, although that knit along I probably would have knitted during. I'm going to get all these things done. And I did get some things done, but I also got things up online, which benefits you guys. But meant I didn't get as much knitting done as I wanted to. I don't even know where to start. How about we start with
hardly any knitting done.
She did fun things. We're going to start with her.
I had the biggest squirrel.
You get to go
on Friday. Was it Friday I squirreled?
Still recording.
Okay. I had the biggest squirrel ever. I think it was on Friday, maybe Thursday.
Someone tried to call. That's why I'm walking back, because we'll edit that out. But anyway, phone line, Zoom. Squirrel.
I used to drop spin all the time before I learned to knit, and then I learned to knit and working in a yarn store, and there isn't much time to do anything else.
I've never learned to drop spin or any kind of spin because I worked in a yarn shop.
So I plied my first ever ply with some of the yarn that I did. Although, in hindsight, my mentor, Kathleen, shout out to Kathleen. I love you. Anyway, she went, hey, asking for a friend, did you spin it backwards or did you spin it forwards? There's a reason for that when you fly. And I said, no, I spun it just like I normally drop spin. And she went, oh. And I went, ah. And so
apparently that's not a great thing.
Even though it came out looking really cool, we'll see how well it did. So
well, it might be if it's spun in one direction. But whole Z spin, S thing, S spin thing, twist thing, whatever.
You're supposed to S spin the first one, and then when you fly, you Z spin.
And for anyone who's like, what? It's counterclockwise, clockwise. It changes how things go together. It's like if you've ever noticed, apparently, like it does mean that some yarns are better to knit or crochet with, depending on if they have an S or a Z spin on them, because most knitters wrap their yarn counterclockwise around the needle. And most crocheters wrap their yarn clockwise. And so if you've ever been knitting or crocheting with a yarn that feels like it's unflying on you, feels like it's coming apart on you, it could be because the spin is not going right for the direction that you're
crochet with that.
That's what I was about. This is what I was leading up to, is that might knit or crochet better.
Yeah.
Because of what happened to it.
So I did that, and then I was like,
trivia.
I have all these balls of yarn that like I spun and wound it into a ball because I didn't know what to do with it. Like,
and now they are pretty hanks. Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
So
she made this
single ply. I made this like 8 years ago. I spun the yarn.
Keep talking.
And this is another 8-year-old spun single ply. So all of that I did one day. And then I was like, ooh, I want to spin more yarn and I want to ply it correctly. So Rebecca has all these tiny little bits and bobbles. They come out looking like this out of the little baggies. She's about to show you the baggies.
Look, this is something I got from Fiber Distinctions. Shout out to Mary Jo in Franklin. And we got them for needle felters. People who would want to grab little pieces and felt with it. Take it down to sculpture they're making. And Liz said, hey, I'm going to take a bunch of these. I'm going to buy a bunch of these and take them home.
And play with them.
And I'm going to spin with them. And I was like, I know nothing about spinning. Have fun. Sounds crazy. Not bad, but just crazy and maybe time consuming. Look how pretty
I got 2 of these balls and this done this weekend. And then I had to spin a solid color.
And shout out to Shia. I think she's the reason this all got buggy.
Shia and Kathleen and all
Shia just got a spinning wheel. And I need to say, all of this, as amazing as it is, other than the little bits and pieces, which may no longer be here because she's having so much fun, we have limited roving, little bit of needle felting. We don't have spinning supplies here yet. I'm going to get a drop spindle, a couple of drop spindles in. So if you're like, ooh, I want to try that. But don't ask me any questions about that. I know nothing apart from what I'm learning from her right now.
So I spun up white, 1 ball of white, and then the 3 balls. And anyway, this is what I got. And
so pretty.
It was so much fun. And it's still damp. Like, so I'm going to have to like hang it up in the shop. So I did that. And then
we've become a laundry station.
Yep. These are single ply that I spun forever and ago. So now I did a bunch of yarn, so I didn't knit much. But what I did find, I found my little baggie with all my leftover.
I'm just making sure this actually is recording and pulsing. Okay, because I can see the little mouse. Don't mind me, I'm squirreling. Watch her, because I'm gonna make the mouse.
I found my little baggie with all my Daydream Dye Works bits and pieces, and so I've been working a little bit when I'm not spinning on my half shawl. So
it's so pretty.
It's starting. It'll be diagonally striped when it's all done. But
and someone in one of our knitting groups recently was like, "Oh, it's garter. You don't want to block that." And you went, "Oh no."
For the half shawl. So what you do is you go until there's 144 stitches across the top, and I'm at 70. And I'm gonna try.
That's halfway there. But each row gets longer.
Each row gets longer. And I'm going to try and make it a little bigger, so Rebecca has to help me with the math. And so anyway, you build out this big diamond, and then you build it back. And then you go around the whole edge, and you pick up stitches. And then you do this, like, foot deep feather and fan border around the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, that's what you can see on the pattern whose link I've shared, and it's amazing.
Yeah, but I saw a couple going through the projects that were unblocked. You have to block them, and by block them, generally you stretch them on a big.
She has to build something.
I have to build something to stretch. Yeah,
like you build a frame and tack it to it.
I did
blocking pads will not work for this.
It's going to be like 6 feet square.
It's a lot of blocking pads. You could use the blocking pads and set them like just for the border, not filling in the middle, and then when you pin it down, it'll go poof.
Yeah.
You go pull one side and stretch it, and pull the other side, and all of a sudden the whole thing will go.
I did see one in all black. Now they take like almost 2,000 or 3,000 yards of fingering weight yarn. And I actually got fussed at because I was like, ooh, I could make one out of all black. I'd buy up all the black yarn. But if I did, then there would be no black yarn to sell.
We have a shortage of black yarn in the shop that is fingering weight that would work for this. And that is also the favorite color for the Papillon contrast because it's so pretty.
So, and
until Cascade starts to have oodles, which they said when they get it in, they'll have oodles. And I'm like, guess what? I might be buying up all your oodles. 5,000 skeins. If I had enough money, I would buy all of it, but I don't have enough money. So I'm waiting for that to come in. Then maybe I will let you have some. Maybe.
See, I can't bogart all the yarn. Just
that I might have to charge you. No, you might have to buy without the employee discount if you really wanted it, because oh my gosh, that stuff's like gold.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody online would have like. How many skeins would that be? Like,
how much yard did you say?
3,000.
3,000. Yeah, you do the math. It'd be a lot. Well, not a lot.
Well, 6.86.
I know.
So
I know
like
it wouldn't be like 10, but yeah.
Close. I'd probably get 10.
I'm not being the quiet sister today.
I'd probably get 10 just so that if I made it bigger, I had enough.
She could keep going. All the same dye lot, because black dye lots, white, maybe it could be the same dye. It could be look the same or natural, but black, there are different shades of black. Anyway,
so that's
I totally squirreled while you were talking about the border. Do you block it before you add the border?
No.
Ooh.
You wait until so
the feather and fan gets stretched.
What you do with the hap shawls is they have hap stretchers, and so it's a great big square made out of like plywood or whatever, not plywood, 2x4s, and it has little pegs, and you basically sew little loops or whatever, stretching it out, and
to tack it down.
Not to tack it down, but like just to hold it in place.
Yeah.
Like and so you have this great big square with all your you don't attach the shawl per se to it.
The nails, or
you just take some string or whatever and wind it through.
It's a process.
And then you have this great big square thing with it pulled all out, and then you set it out in the sun until it's
we'd
done.
show you on this podcast, but it's
I haven't built one yet.
And that
if you like look up hap shawl stretchers, there are some cool images of like the early 1900s, early 1800s on Shetland Island with just like row after row after row of these great big stretchers and shawls on them.
That's awesome. Yay. So that's the fun things Liz is doing right now. And I have to reiterate that we don't have massive spinning supplies here. No. The woolery is, I think, where Shia got her spinning wheel, if you really want to get into spinning. And then locally, I think the Earth Guild in Asheville will have some spinning stuff. I don't know if Silver Threads and Golden Needles has spinning. They have a lot of good weaving stuff.
I didn't see spinning stuff per se.
So a lot of different, that's the cool thing about yarn shops is we all have our different flavors and our different things that we are more particularly specializing in. And not all of us have everything, but that's
some of my fiber I bought in little scrappy bags, like over here, and that I'm gonna bogart. So anyway, Some of my fiber I found at like farmers markets, because there's lots of people who take their bats and their roving and stuff to farmers markets. Some of it I ordered offline because I didn't know where else.
I got mine at SAF. I got some roving and I got a Turkish spindle, and then you lent me a spindle that is easier to use than a Turkish spindle, and it's all still sitting in a bag somewhere because
we haven't had time.
We haven't, like, even back when life was normal and I was at the small shop and I was trying to learn, I couldn't focus long enough to get the hang of it.
Well, the other thing is,
life is busy.
I had to drop every knitting project I was doing, every crochet. Like, I spent the entire weekend spinning to make this. So if I want to make more of that, I have to spin more white, because yeah, it's fun, but you know, as with every crafty, it's time consuming. So what crafties did you work on?
I don't know if I'll have time to talk in detail about all of them. One I'm even leaving in my bag, but I said, oh, I'm doing this really complicated. I'll get to this in a second. But we have this really fun cotton yarn that we haven't really talked about on the show. It's called Lang Splash, or maybe we've talked about it very briefly. I can't remember. We'll talk about it a lot tomorrow, but it is this really cool ribbon chainette cotton funness that has bubbles that change where they're closer together and further apart, closer together. And I'm a big fan of complicated yarn, pick a simple pattern, and simple yarn, do something complicated with it. I have a scarf we'll show you tomorrow that's just stockinette, just knit and purl, knit and purl. And I was like, I wonder, there's this pattern by Magda Makes called One Row Lace Scarf. She did two, but this is one, where all you do, so it's written for 20 stitches, and I did 80 because I'm like, go big or go home, right? All you do is knit two, yarn over, knit two together, knit two, yarn over, knit two together on every row. This is how far one skein got me with 80 stitches. It's about 18 inches long. Let me show you up close. Look at that texture. Isn't that cool? Super, super cool. And then what?
The pattern is some of the oldest lace work known.
And it's really easy. You just really have to focus on what you're doing in terms of if you get off, other than tinking carefully, if it's something you've got a frog, it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just pay attention or fudge it and know that it might not look perfect. But that's one of the cool things about these bubbles. If you can tell, like,
I can see it. There's a pool of bubbles here, and then it splits in a pool of bubbles in here, and then a pool of bubbles here.
And the bubbles are going to throw the texture off. So it's not going to look perfect. It's going to look all funky and show your bubbles off. And I thought this was a wonderful spring color. Again, we'll revisit this tomorrow with all the other colors. But so what if craziness happens? It's okay because of all the texture.
If you did a 40 stitch repeat, just two balls would give you a really long, cool scarf.
Like this patch right in here up to my finger, from the edge to my finger, is how wide the pattern would have been, which would have been a skinny, really long scarf with just one ball.
Yeah.
And what Liz is saying is about half of this, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of this to here, even that, this is to my finger, even that, you know.
You might need two balls, but like you're going to need like.
I went go big or go home. I think I'm going to add one more ball to this, and it won't quite be a wrap, but we'll see how far I get. So I had fun with this, and you know, about 2 days I had this done because I just went to town. It's a little crocheting, and then I was like, I had a goal of finishing on my night shift the pattern as written. Now you can keep going, and I think I'm going to, because if you can see these balls in front of me, like I still have a ton left. These are the two colors I'm working with right now, and I'm on section 10. I made it to section 10, but I didn't finish section 10 yet. That's the last section. So look how cool this is. Oh my gosh. I was telling Liz this morning before we started filming, like from far away, these colors all look kind of the same. Imagine if these colors up here had been in here. somewhere and just broken it up. That would have, I mean, that's one of the things is I tried to plan it and not have similar colors next to each other, but then there's colors within the color changing yarn of Feederbrook that some of the colors ended up next to each other. But I'm gonna hold this close so y'all can see. Let's see if I can go whoop. Like
it
starting,
just looks so cool still.
Like background and bubbles, and take a look at how it changes as you go. Like when I hit this section right in here, I went, ooh, because all of these, even though they're very different skeins of yarn, they started to blend together a little bit. And then I hit this red, but then the bubbles here, the red turned into the brown there, and the back there, it's actually the background up here, not the yellow, orange, bright stuff. So you can't predict. And then I've got, the section I'm working on up here, I've got purple with yellow, orange. But this is the yellow orange ball. It's about to go to like neon green. It's so fun. I am planning, and I will say the color, the crazy bright color, luminous flux up here is also the color of the bubbles down here, which was really peachy. So like if you looked at this, you wouldn't think that's the same yarn. Yeah. You know, it's so much fun. And okay, here's another observation I would make. I think I tilted this. Anyway, so the shift versus the night shift. The shift is the cowl. And we've put kits up for both, by the way, online. The shift is the cowl. It only needs 3 colors, and it's smaller. However, it has more shaping in it because it goes out and then over and then back up again. It has a lot of shaping to make it into the triangle cowl you see when you're done. Not super complicated, but more instructions to follow than this one. The night shift, even though it is 6 colors, or as many colors as you want, really, and it's bigger, it has less direction to it to follow. It is really, you start small and you just keep, you only expand on one side.
On the right side.
On the right side. When you're starting a right side row. And there's other instructions in it, but in terms of increasing and decreasing, that stays consistent throughout the whole thing. You're adding a stitch every right side row, and that's it. There's never any decreasing. There's, so in some ways, once you get the hang of the pattern, and if you want to do it as she wrote it, you have to pay attention to when it's like a 20 row repeat and when it's only a 10 row repeat. But other than that, once you get the hang of the pattern, it can really sink in, and that part becomes easy. And then all the color changing makes it just beautiful. So we put together kits with Feederbrook, with Cascade. Too complicated to even try to show you here. Like if we tried to hold them up, I mean, it'd be chaos. But even if you pick the exact same colors that I did, that I have here, it wouldn't look like mine because every skein is individual and the combo of when they hit is individual. I had moments in this where I was like, oh, I want to change this. I don't think it's going to come out looking good. And I just let it happen, and I love how it looks. It's so unique. It's so awesome. So that's, my public service announcement on that. But, and I'm about to finish with these in a few rows. And I think, so it's got like about 5 repeats of knit 1, slip 1, staggered. And then 5 repeats of knit 2, slip 2, staggered. And some sections of this, you do all of that with the same color combination. So it's 5 and 5. And some of that you only do like the 1s with 1 color, and then you hit through the 2s to kind of waffle it back and forth and have fun. The rows are getting long enough now. My goal is to get to where the pattern stops and tells you to bind off. But since I have more yarn, I want to keep going. But I think what I'm going to do, instead of doing like the singles and the doubles in the same color combo, I think I'm going to change it after every set of 5.
Yeah.
Because the rows are so long, it's going to start eating up yarn.
Yeah.
And I have all these, like I was going to quickly try to weigh these. I already weighed, this is color A. Color A has never done according to how she wrote the pattern, it's the background for a ways, but it's never done the bubbles. So I'm super excited. I have almost 70 grams of this. I can have some fun with bubbles. Color B, this one, which has red in it, and the reds only come into play a couple of times, so I gotta use it again. Color B, I have 75 grams left. I can still do a lot with that. These are 100 grams to start with, right? Color C, I am still knitting with. I have 80 grams left. I think by the time I'm done, I might have 70 or so. So I got to keep going. Oddly enough, let's see, color, I think this is color D. Like I'm doing C and D right now. D has, I mean, I almost have the whole skein of D. Like it hasn't been used very much yet. We'll see when I get done with section 10. So I still have probably 15 rows left. That could eat up a lot of yarn because this is E. I have 60 grams left basically of E. This is F. So F had, I guess the most used, you could say, because it's the bubbles right in here. And then it becomes the background.
I burned through a lot of F.
Yeah, all of this background. And it's not as much background lengthwise as color A, which is that blue purple, but widthwise, it starts to get so big, it's eating it up. So color F at the end of this, I still have about 54 grams left, which makes sense because this was written for 50 gram skeins of spin cycle, which tend to cost around the same as 100 gram skeins of Federberg, by the way. So, but I'm going to play around with it. I want to see what color combos maybe haven't combined yet or haven't combined in background, foreground, like one was the background, one was the bubbles. So I'm going to do it differently. And since it changes color, it doesn't matter anyway. It's not going to look like they've been used before anyway. So I'm probably going to overanalyze and overdo it. And when I probably should go to Liz's theory of put them in a bag and pull out stuff and see. And so we'll see.
It always sounds like a good idea until you
do it, and then you're like, oh, what did I do? But no, it's been really, really fun. And I have to keep going. I have so many projects I need to finish, but this is addictive. Like I was getting I took a break from it and was like, I don't know if I want to go back to it. Or I know I have to.
It's getting longer.
It's getting longer. The rows are getting longer. And then I added a new color in that I hadn't knit with in a while. It was right in here. It was when I added color B back in again. And I was like, ooh. And then when this got bright, I went, ooh. I got so much done on this I didn't think I would get done. So, ooh. And good segue. You ready for this? Yeah. Because if you, the kits we made, kits of these are, if you want to get 6 colors of these, it's almost $180. That's a lot of money. However, if you buy it online and you use our code WOW 3 years when you check out, you will essentially be getting 1 skein of this, a little over 1 skein for free. 20% off means you're saving over $30. So that's a skein of yarn. So it's almost a buy 5, get the 6th one free. If you're getting the Nightshift kit. If you're getting the shift, the math is not as great because you're only buying 3 skeins of yarn. But you're basically getting like half a skein of yarn paid for. You're saving money. So, and it's only in August because we are celebrating being in existence for 3 years. Yay! Boggles the mind.
I started realizing time, was it Sunday, talking to Amy, one of our Amy's, and I was like, how long have you been working there? Almost a year. And I was like, oh, that's right. You started when we were still at the old shop. So like, you know.
She was working for us for like half a second.
Yeah.
Half a second. And then she found this awesome new job. So, which was great. And she felt bad because she just started with us. And I was like, no. I can't afford to pay anyone full time. Even she doesn't get full time. Because yarn shop owner, when I was a minion at a yarn shop, I didn't make enough to quit my full-time job. Understandable. Anyway.
I'm in a good circumstance. I don't have to get paid full time.
It's magically perfect that we met and that she doesn't need to get paid full time. She has income from other resources she's provided for. and she has a flexible schedule and for within reason, you know. And then we just live here now anyway. So Kismet. That's what I'll say about that.
That's perfect.
Perfect. So the WoW 3 years. Sorry.
I was going to ask, is there any other show notes? Oh, the
yes.
Becky and Lizzy.
Yes, because what fun thing. We're so excited. We're so excited. We have 2 letters for Becky and Lizzy, and we said we'd do that Thursday. So they're going to be at the top of our pile because we're hoping we'll have a pile by Thursday. Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. We are turning at least part of Thursday. From my point of view, because I can't get any knitting progress done during the week. Are you crazy? Because life. So today was the day to show you progress, and maybe leftover progress I can show on Thursday. But Thursday's a good day for us to talk about your questions. This is like, they can be fun questions, they can be serious questions, they can be lighthearted questions. They can run the gambit.
And we've read the letters.
We looked at them.
We're working on our answers, but I loved the questions that were in there. They were awesome questions.
They were fun. They were short. It wasn't like, how do I do row 2 on this pattern? That might be a different question. But if it's about a technique or something, that's cool. But they were more general questions that, you know, questions you're like, well, I can't ask this because it's dumb. Of course you can. Because especially if you're a beginner or if you're more advanced, but you're like, but I'm advanced, I shouldn't have to ask this question. That's why, you know, inspiration, you know, technique, other things. We want to keep this in the vein of like a Dear Abby. So it's Dear Becky and Lizzy. And if you are a fan of or have read Dear Abby growing up or still today, because it's still in some papers, it was really like, Dear Abby, I have this question and I need advice, and, you know, the body of it, usually it's short and pithy and whatever, but you know, do what you want. And then it's, you know, signed, and they kind of make up a name to keep it anonymous and discreet. And it's also like, it's fun. So it could be a question that everyone wants to ask and no one is, because they all think, well, that's stupid. I shouldn't ask that. But what if 10 other people need to know the same thing?
One of the, just as a spoiler, but I'm not going to mention the question.
Okay.
One of the questions is a question we hear all the time. And like, it's and just, everybody asks it, but it's more like, so it's not like, you know,
everything you want to know about knit and crochet, but we're afraid to ask. Yeah. And you know, we are expecting we will get questions we might not be able to answer or may not be appropriate to answer. You know, we'll do what we can, and we'll be honest when we don't know the answer. If we can share all of them online with you here, we will, if we can. And we'll be honest, we are not the experts. We are learning too all the time. But having encountered so many people in the shop over the past 3 years, we may be able to offer insight or our take on things. My big thing is like, there isn't necessarily only one right way to do stuff. But until you hear more, you don't have a way to process and think about it and come up with your own way as well. So I'm really excited. We're going to do that Thursday. And a reminder, so real letters isn't this fun to like be able to hold up a real letter on YouTube? So we're asking, if you can, please send us real letters.
If you can't, you can email me at liz@sundragonartandfiber.com.
But more importantly, you should send us a real letter.
Send us a real letter.
At, you know, you can say Dear Becky and Lizzy, or you can just address it to Sundragon Art and Fiber. We'll assume if we get real mail, it's for that. Sundragon Art and Fiber, 35 South Broad Street, Brevard, North Carolina, 28712. So excited. Maybe we'll have like a pile by Thursday. Well, or maybe in a month. Who knows? I'm excited because some of you will watch this when you finally catch up on episodes. No judgment there. And go, ooh, and it's, you know, October. We hope to keep this going. So I'm super excited. If Thursday turns into an entirely Dear Becky and Lizzy episode, I'm okay with that. Because then I don't have to knit during the week. I mean, I want to knit. This is my catch-22, and we need to wrap up because it's 10 o'clock. My catch-22 is like, I knit to de-stress, but I also need to knit for the shop. But sometimes I'm just tired. So it's a catch-33. I don't know. Anyway.
It is.
All right. We love you and we miss you. And we'll do everything within our power on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help you outside the shop from 10 to 5. We will bring the entire shop out. It does help to have some idea of what you want. Targeted shopping. But we will bring out as much yarn as you want to touch and feel. Just know that it goes in quarantine afterwards for like a week. That's okay. Gives us stuff to do.
Because packages when you show up on Tuesday morning.
I had 2 packages sitting outside that I'm very grateful no one stole. But I think it was probably the FedEx and training guy who was like, or maybe they don't have room on the trucks anymore because so many people are getting things delivered. They're like, we can't put this back on the truck. This is the 3rd time.
And it's Monday, so none of the other shops on the plaza
that is
are
like,
open.
That is like the safest time to leave something here. I just hope it didn't get soaked through. Anyway, I digress. If you haven't subscribed already to this channel, really consider subscribing. And at least give us a thumbs up. Subscribing and hitting that bell means you don't have to wait for me to tell you on Facebook that we posted a new episode. You'll know. And you'll probably be watching this afternoon.
It always makes her giggle when she hasn't finished like putting in all the information, but it's live. And she's like, haven't done everything, but we have views already.
Numbers are fun. And, we love growing our Sun Dragon community, and you are part of the community by watching us, even if we haven't met you yet. We've met a lot of people who watched us first and then jumped into our sit and stitch, and that was so exciting. It's really cool. So share this also. Pass this on to your fellow knitters and crocheters or people who are interested in knitting, crocheting, like nibbling at it, because, we love growing the community. Community is one of the reasons I started the yarn shop. And so if I can't have y'all in to keep building the community, I'm going to find another way to build the community. Good. Okay. Anyway, I'm done.
Stay tuned tomorrow for more adventures of Liz and Rebecca.
We're going to sell you stuff tomorrow.
Oh, wait.
What?
Thursday's the adventures of Liz. Tomorrow's Liz and Rebecca. Tomorrow's the VSC.
Well, it's still an adventure, but we have to figure out how to show you stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to end this now.
Bye. Have a good Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever you watch this.
Oh boy.